Is nearshoring dead in Mexico? Well, today we discuss. Welcome to Continental Insider, the offshore consulting service for expats, digital nomads, entrepreneurs, investors, and related internationals with a boots on the ground approach. For more information, please check out continentalinsider.com. One of the promises of the Mexican economy is nearshoring. And what is nearshoring on the first place? Well, is this process, of course, of supply chain that instead of going worldwide, let's say through China, through Vietnam, or a very remote place let's talk in this case about the United States, where United States is basically an importer nation rather than an exporting nation. Well, Mexico has, of course, a clear advantage strategically and also geographically, of course, regarding being the main industrial supplier for the United States. And actually, just recently, like less than 2 years ago, Mexico surpassed China as the main exporter of the United States. And that happened because mostly through nearshoring and basically the way that supply chains have been integrating and is most reliable for a US company that sells or manufactures a final product to consumers within the United States. And of course, this mindset has been going around on the past decade. However, it got increased, this trend grow even further after the issues that we had through COVID and afterwards. Remember that basically during the pandemic and the lockdowns, the supply chains worldwide have been first, they closed, of course, but afterwards they got disrupted and they got less efficient throughout, well, everything that happened through COVID, not only for how basically the economy changed to a certain degree back then, so it's more reliable instead of having this very complex worldwide supply chain. So it's more reliable to have all of the supply chain connected near your particular base, aka nearshoring. And Mexico plays themselves as, of course, with this particular opportunity, since first they have the NAFTA that, well, it's called USMCA. Therefore, they can sell with significant advantage export their products to the United States. And the advantage is first because Mexico has a great industrial base. Also, the salaries are way more competitive in Mexico than the United States. And yet they are somehow reliable regarding legal structure and bureaucracy and those things. And of course, you save a lot of costs regarding transportations and shipments from Mexico to the United States rather than China, Vietnam, Indonesia, whatever might be the case. Now, the situation has been disrupted because of politics. First, in Mexico, let's talk first about Mexican politics. On the past 6 years, we had this particular president, Andrés Manuel López Obrador, aka AMLO, that he is a left-leaning president. However, at the same token, he was very pragmatic regarding the economy. First, the situation, how he handled the political turnover that he faced with the United States when he assumed office in 2018. Back then, the president was Donald Trump on his first term, and he got along pretty fine with Donald Trump. And then on 2020, when Biden was elected as the president of the United States, a completely different dynamics, but AMLO handled pretty decently the situation. Also, and yet again, during COVID, when most countries were under lockdowns, AMLO actually he kept open most of the basically the economy, of course, with certain conditions, the social distancing, some educations, COVID testing, and things like that. So he maneuver the country in order that Mexico it was somehow open compared to most countries all over the world. That gave Mexico a strategic advantage regarding, of course, tourism. Mexico is not the main industry, but it's a big industry over there. So Mexico was a reliable touristic destination during those, let's say, year and a half, 2 years of the status quo that changed during COVID. And the thing that you have to understand about the Mexican economy, that is a very complex economy regarding that it doesn't depend on a particular industry. Let's say a commodity like oil or some particular export or some particular expertise. What happens in the Mexican economy is that since it's a very complex dynamics regarding economics, the powerhouse, the engine of the Mexican economy is having good synergy in order to export goods and services, especially to the United States, but also all of those particular transactions that you see within the Mexican economy, you need to keep it rolling. And that's the way that you sustain the Mexican economy rather than just exporting a particular raw material, a particular commodity, or just one handful of single industries. But right now, the president in Mexico is Claudia Sheinbaum. She's from the same party that AMLO, and she's also left-leaning. However, there are a lot of doubts if she has the same pragmatic approach regarding economics, politics, society overall. And right now, we are not seeing that quite yet. So right now with Sheinbaum, the uncertainty that you see on the Mexican economy is a little bit greater compared that with AMLO. So that covers the Mexican side of this political issue. Now, talking about the United States, recently we also are going to have a regime change. The Biden administration will end on January of 2025, and the person assuming is yet again President Donald Trump, this time as the 47th president of the United States. Now, Trump's approach to economics is more nationalistic. He likes to impose tariffs in order to protect certain industries and also look to the investments within the United States rather than offshore, shipping goods to the United States and just using the United States, these particular companies and countries abroad, using the United States as a consumer market rather than the place where the production should be. That's, of course, the Trump's doctrine regarding economics. Now, there are other issues, for instance, the renegotiations of NAFTA that is called right now USMCA, and actually it's thanks to Donald Trump that it was a negotiation where the terms from NAFTA to the USMCA didn't change that much. Of course, that also involves Canada. And Trump, yet again, wants to renegotiate, yet again, the terms and conditions of NAFTA, USMCA. Maybe we will have a third name by the end of it. We don't know for certain. So first we have to see what is going to be the end result of a new NAFTA, USMCA trading agreement. But something very important going on the US-Mexico dynamics is two things that are very concerning to the Trump administration. That will be first migration and also drug trafficking. Two things that Mexico is heavily involved regarding this particular issue within the United States. Regarding migration, we know that on the past 4 years, basically during the Biden-Harris administration, the migration that the US received throughout the southern border, aka the border with Mexico, that caused a lot of mayhem and within the US society, and one of the reasons why Trump got reelected on the first place. And he promised, one of his main campaign promises is being harsher against migration, especially illegal migration, regular migration throughout the southern border. And that's why he designated this gentleman, Tom Homan, as the new border czar. And he promised to be very draconian and take very draconian measures against the migration, the irregular migration throughout the US southern border. Very good on that. However, until a certain degree, Mexico has to be involved and has to play a crucial role in order to actually hinder the irregular migration throughout the southern border. And I don't know which certain degree the Mexican authorities will be cooperating with the United States. So on the past Trump administration, the first term, with AMLO as the Mexican president, actually he played ball, and they have several programs like Remain in Mexico. Also, AMLO helped a lot managing the thing throughout the southern border. However, with Claudia Sheinbaum, we are not seeing the same political will in order to cooperate with US authorities in order to hinder the migration to the United States. Now, regarding drug trafficking to the United States, well, we know Mexico is one of the countries that has more ingrained in the world this particular issue with drug trafficking, drug dealing, drug cartels, and so on. And until a certain degree, AMLO can cooperate with Donald Trump on that regard. However, yet again, we are not seeing the same political will on Sheinbaum in order to, let's say, cooperate in order to apply more draconian justice and legal warfare against the responsibles of drug dealing to the United States. And actually, in Mexico, they have this particular policy of no guns, more hawks, something like that. We have here the name in Spanish of the policy. And that actually didn't help a lot, because since AMLO took office, the violent crimes in Mexico have risen significantly, and also the presence and the power of drug cartels in Mexico has increased as well. So at the end of the day, we are not seeing too much collaboration from behalf of President Sheinbaum to Donald Trump. The issue is that Donald Trump is promising higher tariffs against the Mexican economy if they don't cooperate on those particular issues, migration and drug trafficking. And also, we have to add that one of the promises and one of the, let's say, the doctrines of Donald Trump regarding economics is bringing back the industrial capacity of the United States. So it will mean less imports from very heavily industrialized economies like Mexico, like China. That, of course, China has a thing of its own on Donald Trump's mind and their projects. But the main issue will be how this will play out regarding the nearshoring capacities of Mexico for the US economy. Right now, there is a big presence for industrials within Mexico, manufacturing and also operating different kinds of business, but related to industrialization and fabrication of goods, different goods, very simple goods, also very complex goods that then are shipped to the United States. The other thing that you have to consider regarding nearshoring is that not necessarily all of the goods manufactured in Mexico are the final consumer goods. Sometimes it's a very complex supply chain that goes back and forth, and some part of the process is done in Mexico, maybe spare parts or just a very low complexity operations are going through Mexico, and the more complex operations are going through the United States. So it will be very particular how will be handled regarding, of course, the political will, the bureaucracy, the taxes, the tariffs, the policies, and so on. So we will have to see that what will happen, what will be the end result. I don't think right now, in order to answer the question of this video, is nearshoring dead? I don't think it is. However, it's not gonna be this panacea that it was poised just a year ago or so. Thank you for watching Continental Insider. Please like, share, and subscribe. Follow us on social media, and if you want to work with us, continentalinsider.com. Thanks again, and have a nice day.